Hello everyone. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to go over our new brand platform, Spikeet.com. This is a new financial data platform we launched a few weeks ago, and we'll see how we can utilize it to retrieve financial data and solve all of your tracking data needs. Now, after you sign up and join the platform, you will log in and you will get into this dashboard. The interesting tab here is the data tab, and this is where you will actually fetch the data from. As you can tell, there are four steps for each data request. There's the date range, there's the filters, there's the columns, and then the final step is a review for you to see that everything you configured is correct. Let's start with the date range. First, you have to put in a request name just to understand what you configured. So let's give it a name, my first request. Okay. Now the next step is to actually configure which date range you want to get the data for. Now we go back till 1998, so we have about 22, 23 years of data. And you can get all the data you need within that period. But let's leave it for now for 1 year. So this request will generate data for the last 1 year to date. So it's March 8th, 2019 until today. Okay. Now, as you can see, the next step is the filters step, and this is basically where you configure your asset class and universe of financial assets you'll want to get. Now, we have a lot of different options, and we worked very hard on it to provide you unlimited types of filtering. And as you can tell, each section is broken down into different options. Now, first section, we can filter by identity. So what does that mean? That means that we can filter basically on a specific stock. For example, we can say, hey, system, get me all symbols that is or is not, for example, Apple. So you would configure something like that. And this will retrieve just Apple stock. Now, if you want a few stocks, you can add multiple ticker symbols with a comma separating. And you want it to be big capital letters for the system to identify it. So this is, for example, how you will get Apple, Netflix, and Amazon. You can also choose to disregard and exclude certain types of symbols. So you would choose here is not instead of is. Now you can also filter by security classes. So for example, if you want all stocks, then you will do something like security class is, and then you can choose the asset types. You will untick everything else, and you will only choose stock common. Or if you can choose stock ADR, and this is how it will look like. So this second filter will get you only stocks, and you can take down this if you don't want to filter for a specific symbol. Okay, now please note that each section has an example also. So if you find it hard to understand, you can also take a quick look and read the examples and see what you're capable of. So after configuring that we only want stocks, the next part is the daily. Now this part you can basically filter by open, high, low, close, and volume data points. Now please note the filters are only rules you apply to get the data. So these filters, you will not see the actual filters in the Excel. That you will configure with column step. But with the filter step, you just filter the data. So that's something very important to understand. Now, For example, with the daily data points, you can configure pretty straightforward rules. You can say, give me all stocks, because we configure this stock, that are greater than $10. And you will get all stocks that the open price was greater than $10. If you want to add different options, you can add it. You can say, give me all stocks where the volume was less than or equal to 4 million on the day. So you will do 4 million, and it will give you all security assets that were stocks and that the open price was greater than 10 and that the volume was less than or equal to 4 million. So once you start adding more and more filters, you will get less and less samples, obviously. And that's the daily section. It only refers to open, high, low, close volume of the entire day. So it represents daily values. Now, if we move forward to the intraday section, this is where it gets interesting. It gives you even more power to filter. So not only you can filter by daily values, you can start filtering by intraday values. Now, with intraday, basically what it means, you can filter as well the same data points that you had here, so open, high, low, close, volume again, but now you can configure a specific time frame to filter by. So, for example, pre-market time would be 4 a.m. to 9:29 a.m., and we cover all trading periods, so you can set this from 4 a.m. until 7:59 p.m., which is the last minute of after hours trading. So we have pre-market volume, we have regular trading hours volume, and we have aftermarket volume and data. So you can configure which time frame you want. And if you want pre-market, you would just do something like this. And you would set the data point you want. So a lot of traders like to know what happened with the volume in the pre-market. So you would configure the volume to be greater than 200K, for example. And this will filter all stocks by this condition. So it will get all stocks that the volume in the pre-market was greater than 200K. Now you can set, for example, the same thing with the high. So you can say, I want the 5-minute high, for example, to be above a certain price point. So, for example, to get the first 5-minute high, you would configure something like this. So you will configure 9 to 9:34. That's the first 5 minutes. And if you are having a hard time to understand the start and end time, you can hop over and see that the start time should be the first minute, and the end time should be the last minute, but it should be the beginning of that minute. So 9:35 is the last 5 minutes, is the first 5 minutes, but 9:34 is the minute it starts to trade. So you can hop over these values to see how to configure. And let's say you want to configure the high would be greater than $8. Then you would do something like this. And by setting up this rule, you ensure that you get exactly what you need. Now this is a pre-market filter, but this is a regular trading hour filter. So intraday allows you to basically set which time frame you need to apply the filter for, and you have here examples as well. So first 5 minutes volume, you can get the first hour low. There's unlimited options here and possibilities to configure exactly what you need. Now moving forward, we have the indicators section, and here we have different averages. We have the VWAP, MAs, we have the sum, min, max. So this is very powerful as well. If you want to, for example, filter by 100-day moving average, then you will set the number of days to be 100. The data point will be the close price, obviously. And if you want to get it above a certain threshold, you will do, for example, greater than 10. And this filter would filter all stocks that had a 100-day moving average above $10. If you want to get the lowest day within a period of time, for example, the highest volume bar for the last 3 years, then you will do customize. You would change this to be the volume, and then you would say, give me the highest, so it will be the max volume bar within 3 years. And 3 years you can do, for example, 1,000 days, and this will basically filter by the biggest volume day, and you can set up a so that's indicators. We can also use VWAP, and VWAP is an intraday thing. So these are daily values, but VWAP is intraday values. So you can set the VWAP to be, for example, at the market open. Then you would do something like this: 4 a.m. till 9:29 a.m. and this will be the VWAP at the market open. If you want the VWAP on the market close, you would put here 359. So basically, when you define a VWAP, you can set which VWAP you want. You can set a VWAP for a certain minute in the day, and of course, you give it an operator, as we did, and a price, and that's a VWAP filter. Okay. Moving on to the fundamental part, we have a few interesting data points that makes our platform very unique. So you can actually filter by news, data, earnings, outstanding shares, and market cap. Now when you filter by news, you can give it a certain day. So if you leave it on 0, it will filter by news on the current day. So you can say news had or didn't have. So you can filter by which stocks had news and which stocks didn't have news. If you only have a strategy that's based on stocks having news, then you would choose had. And this basically means give me all stocks that had news on the same day. If you want a news on the day before, you would put -1 here, and then you would fill this in, and you will get all stocks that had news on the day before. Same for earnings. If you want to filter by earnings, then you would put in earnings, then you can choose had or didn't have, and then you set the number of days. So if you want earnings yesterday, you would put -1. If you want earnings 2 days in the future, you would put +2. And if you want earnings on the same day, you would put 0. So that allows you to filter by fundamental values. Now you can also as well filter by market cap, which a lot of traders do, and you can set the condition to be, for example, greater than 10 million. And this will give you all stocks that had a market cap greater than $10 million. The same goes for outstanding shares. Now here's a very important note to make. Our outstanding shares updates every day. It takes into consideration splits, offerings, and different types of corporate actions. So whenever the OS changes, we directly update it in our database, and we update the data every day. So a lot of other data sources there don't even do that. And when you're talking about market cap, it's extremely important to be as accurate as possible. So that's that. That's how you can filter by fundamental, and you can also take a look at the example if you are a little bit confused. After you start playing with it, you will get to know it better, and things will go much more smoother. So moving on to the last section, which makes the platform pretty powerful, is the custom section. Here you can actually provide high advanced calculations to the data. Now, what do I mean by that? So first you have the common subsection, which gives you common data points like gap percentage, high update percentage, range, change of open, change of close. So you can set a filter of gap being greater than 20%, and that will give you all stocks that the gap was greater than 20%. Now, Um, you can also, for example, filter by the change price from the open price or the change from the previous close. And each time you put in a data point here, it will show you how we calculate it. So if you don't understand how we are doing this calculation, you can see here the calculation. Now, if you want to choose to put in a custom filter with your own mathematical formula, you can follow this structure. Basically, we have square brackets with an n and a square bracket with a data point. Now, what do these mean basically? N means the number of days from the current day. So if you want to refer to a certain data point on the current day, you would put 0. For example, here 0 open. That means the open on the same day. But if you want to refer to yesterday, you would put -1. And data point is just open, high, low, close volume data point. So, for example, you can choose to go to manual or builder to create your own custom formula. Now, if you go to manual, you can start typing in a formula based on these rules. So if you want to refer to yesterday's close price, you would start with a square bracket n. N would be -1 because it represents yesterday. And the data point would be the close. So this whole expression basically means the previous close. Now, if you want to filter it to be greater than 1, then you can do that. And let's just change it to be lower case. Now, once you do a legal expression, it will allow you to add it here. So basically, you're saying here, give me all stocks that the previous close was greater than $1. And this is how you add a custom filter. Now, please make sure to have a space between each item. So if we remove the space, it won't work. We want to have space between each item of the formula. Now, builder and manual are the same. It's just manual allows you to do stuff more quicker. If you choose to go to builder, it will basically ensure that you won't do mistakes. So if you want to get the previous close, we will choose a data point. Then we will choose a close. Then we will choose -1, and it will give us -1 close. And we want to add an operator, so we would have this operator greater than, and we will add a number. So it's the same thing, but you configure it a bit differently and represents the same functionality. So custom sections allows you to configure very advanced filters, and you have here some examples. You can add mathematical formula, so you can do the previous close, tomorrow's open, for example. Not sure if anyone will do this, less than 10. So we put here a plus. You can start doing complicated mathematical filters and add it. And that's the filter page. It allows you to configure filters on your data set and to get exactly what you need. Now, of course, most users won't put so many filters like here, but this is just, something that reflects what the platform is capable of doing. Now, after going to the next section, we get to the columns page, and this is the actual data points you will get in the spreadsheet. So, after configuring all the filters you did, you start selecting which data points you actually want to see in the Excel sheets, in the spreadsheet, and it's very similar. The sections are very similar to the filters page, except here we have just a new box we have to name in Excel. So we have to give it a name, and it will name the column of that data point in Excel. So, for example, if you want to get the symbol, then we'll choose symbol, and then it auto-fills us the value. So we can choose a symbol, we can choose the name, we can choose a security class, These are all the values we're going to get in Excel. In the daily part, we have, again, the open, high, low, close, volume, and date data points. So we can choose to get the date, the open, the high, the low, and the close of the same day. So these are daily values. If you want to get intraday values, again, it's the same structure as filters. We have the same section. So identity, daily, intraday. So intraday, we want to define a specific data and interval. So we want to set a given time frame for the data to be represented by. So if we want pre-market data, we would put 4 a.m. to 9:29 a.m. And if you want, for example, the high, we can get the pre-market high. So we will do PM high, and this field will give us the pre-market high of all stocks or all ETFs or warrants or whatever assets you chose. If you want the volume, you would set the volume. You would give it a name in Excel, and that is it. Now note, you cannot have the same name in Excel, so if we choose to put the low, name must be unique because we already have here a data point with the low name. So we have to give it some other name, for example, low 2. So this gives you data points within a certain time frame intraday. And we're talking 23 years here, so you can get this data points and go back 23 years. Now, you can get, for example, the first hour data points. So you would do something like this. And you can do the open. So this will give you the open from this hour. You can do the volume. This will give you the volume within this hour. Volume 1 hour. So once you start practicing this more and more, it will be more clear. And you have the examples here to note as well. Now, the advanced option is very interesting, and it allows you to get a data point based on another data point. Now, what does that mean? If you click here, advanced, you can get a data point based on another data point. So, for example, I like to give this example a lot, the high of day time. So, if you want to get the high of day time, you would choose the time, and you would say when this data point, when the high is the lowest or the highest. So you will do the lowest, and this will give you the time of high of day. So it will give you the time between the pre-market interval when the high is the highest. Now if you want to get it in regular trading hours, you can do like this. Say, give me the time when the high is the highest. Time of high of day. Normal hours. Now this is useful for other kinds of data points. If you want to get the high price of the biggest volume bar in the day, you can do that as well. So if you want to get the biggest volume of the day, you can say, give me the high value when the volume is highest, or when the volume is lowest. So you can get a data point based on another data point. Now, of course, we have to set this to PM. But the idea is getting a one data point based on another data point value. And you can play around with open, high, low, close here, and open, high, low, close here. And you can choose to get when the data point is the lowest data point, and you can choose to get when the data point is the highest data point. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. Continuing to the indicator part, it's the same as the filters. You can get the actual 200 MA, 100 MA, etc. You can get the actual VWAP if you want. And then you can choose the time frame, and you can just get the view up. Here we are getting the view up for the whole day. You can get the resistance or support values by having volume. For example, if you want the highest bar volume or the lowest bar volume, and you can do min or max, and then set the offset days. So it's the same as filters. You have all the data points that are related to averages, to volume, a view up, and to daily minimum or maximum values. Fundamentals are the same. So news, we can get outstanding and market cap. When we set news, we have to put in the number of days. So if you want news on the same days, we have to add 0. If we want to get the news from yesterday, we would put in here, and we have to give it a different name because we already have news. So yesterday news. If you want news from 3 days in the future, we would do new 3 days. And that's it. We can get the market cap as well, and we can get outstanding shares. And the last part is the custom part, which allows us to get all the mathematical formulas we want to, exactly like in the filters page. Like we said here in the filter page, we can set the same in columns, except this time it will actually show us the data values in the spreadsheet. So we can choose the common values first to take a look at them. If you want the gap, we can just get gap, high of day, low of day range, and everything we saw before. And if you want to get specific data points, then we will configure just like we did before. And you have examples. If you want to get the previous day close, you would just write something like this. Day close. And if we want to, for example, see if the current day close was greater than the current day open, we will write something like this. This will give us true or false. It's a condition that either happened or didn't happen, and this is how we can check it. So if you can also get Boolean true or false values, or you can get actual data points. If you want the open price from 100 days ago, you can do this, and this will pull out the 100-day open from 100 days ago. Now pay attention, the N number represents trading days and not regular weekdays. So note that it excludes weekends and holidays. Okay, then after that we can see that we have a sort by, and we can basically choose to sort by a certain column we set up from before. And you can choose anything you want here to sort by. I would leave it on date for now. Then we have the review, which allows us to review everything we did. So here's the request name, the start and end date, and the all the filters we did, all the columns we did, broken down into the different categories we defined. Now, here's an interesting thing. If we set the daily updates to be on, we have a switch on-off button. Every day this request will run in the background and add the data to your dashboard. So every day the daily updates will run if you set it to be on. If you set it to be off, it won't run. So that's a very cool feature that basically takes away all the tracking for you. So not only you can access historical data within the platform, you can basically build your own built-in tracker, data tracker, and that will track the data for you, do all the hard work for you. Any condition you set here, it will track, and any columns you put in, it will add to the Excel, to the spreadsheet, and takes away all your responsibility and effort of adding the data on your own manually. This is a solution to that problem of data tracking. Now, let's go back before we generate the request and just do a realistic request, because we put in a lot of different features here. So let's take them away, and let's just put, for example, just so you guys can see the actual results. Let's put a realistic filter. So for example, let's set all stocks that are common, and let's set the volume to be greater than, let's set the open to be greater than $1, and let's set the volume on the day to be greater than 1 million. And let's put a gap filter as well. Let's define it to be greater than 20%. So these are the filters we set up, just so we can see how the request is generated and what data we are getting back. And as to the data points, let's leave everything here. We want the symbol, the name, the security class. We will get the date, open, high, low, close. Let's add the volume here. Pre-market high we have the pre-market volume. Let's get the high of day time, so let's set it again from scratch. So we want the advanced, as you see. We want the time when the high is the highest, time of high of day, and let's get the time of the low of day. So let's set it to be regular trading hours. Okay, PM. Let's get the time when the low is the lowest. So note, here we're getting the high when it's the highest. Sorry, we're getting the time when the high is the highest. Here we're getting the time when the low is the lowest. Time of low of day. And we are asking for the VWAP. We are asking for the 200 MA. We can get even the 100 MA. So 100 MA. Let's do here a little bit of order. Let's get the market cap on that day, the outstanding shares. Let's get the news on the same day. And if it didn't have news, it will just put a blank box. We're asking for the gap percentage, as you can see in the custom section. We're getting the previous day close. Let's add some more data points. Let's get the high of day percentage, the low of day. Let's get the change of close. And let's get the next day's open. So let's put in 1 here for the next day. Let's get the open. And next day open. We want the next day close. Let's get the next day close. As you can see, this is a structure. So N is the number of days from the current day, and data point is which data point we want to refer to. And we can also do this condition. So whether the close was greater than the open. Green from open. Let's do review and check everything we did is okay. And as you can tell, this is our data range. So we are asking for 1 year of data. We want only stocks that had an open price of greater than $1 and a volume of more than 1 million. And we only want stocks. And of course, we only want stocks that gapped more than 20%. Now you can set here to get specific tickers like Apple, Google. You can set to get earnings data. You can get different gapping or different behavioral stocks. But we just did this for now. And as far as regarding the columns, we requested a few data points, and let's set the daily updates to be on, and this means we will have daily updates every day. Now, after requesting the data, as you can tell, it's generating everything automatically, and usually it's ready less than a half a minute, but it depends on the amount of data you request, and it shouldn't take more than a few minutes. Now, when this original request is done, you will get an email that alerts you that the request is done, and if you have daily updates, you want to get an email for those updates. We do that in order to not to overwhelm your inbox. So whenever the original request is done, you will get an email, and whenever the daily updates run, you won't. So when you go to the dashboard, you can see that the request was successful. You can see the daily updates are enabled. In order to see it, we'll go in and we'll click on View. And as you can see, here is our data. We can start checking it that everything is okay. We've configured multiple columns. You can do everything you can do in Excel, you can do within the program, our online spreadsheet editor. You can start building charts, you can edit the data if you want, you can change it, you can delete it, whatever you need to do. This is all the data that we got back. Now, we had 746 cases for our filters, for the filters we put in. If you ever want to go and check which filters, you can do it here. And you can see these are the filters, and if you want to check the columns that we configured, it's that. And whenever you get updates, it will be here in this part. So the daily updates will be here, and you can see the updates here. That's it for today. By the way, you can also disable the daily updates here or enable it, and you can take control of either you want to get the data updated every day or not. So that's a brief overview of how to use our platform. As you can tell, we have many different options. We have fundamental data, technical data. We take care of corporate actions and all of the splits companies do, and we're planning to add more data sources in the future. So stay tuned. We hope you like the platform. When you subscribe for the first time, you have a free package where you can use all of our different options and get data. It's limited for 15 samples, but you can see and check all of our different options. Once you subscribe for more options, you can start receiving more data. So these are different options. And the free one, you can get unlimited requests as well, so you can test the platform however you like. We hope you like the platform, and any questions, you can shoot us an email. We can't wait to hear from you, and we hope you enjoy it. Thank you.